Hello, my name's Chris Hughes, and in this video I want to introduce you to some of the references to Macha in early Irish texts. I'm going to try not to get too technical here, but I'll list some references below this video that you can check out if you're looking for more information. There are many different Machas mentioned in Old Irish texts. It's hard to be sure whether these refer to the same individual or whether some of the individuals are being portrayed as divine or as mortal. I've even heard suggestions that perhaps the name Macha might be some kind of title rather than a given name, which I find quite intriguing, but there's no proof. All these Machas become even harder to unravel because early Irish writers copied bits from one another, adding their own flourishes or combining Machas from different texts into one, and so on. So if you choose to do research, be prepared for that. It's incredibly confusing. I've had a lot of fun. The name Macha itself refers to a piece of land, generally a piece marked out by boundaries, such as a field or milking yard. If you think about how we use similar words today, such as field, pasture, or paddock, you can probably see how such words have different shades of meaning, depending on the circumstances. However, I think the idea that the piece of land is defined or boundaried by man is significant. It's owned land or tamed land. Yet early uses of the word merely describe flat, open, or fertile land, a plain, if you like. If we carry this thought forward to a woman's name or even title, this is an interesting take on sovereignty, likening a goddess or a queen to a field to be tamed, owned, and planted. The Book of Invasions, or Lever Gabhala Éireann, is a pseudo-history of Ireland from the 11th century. According to this text, the first settlers were led by a woman called Kesir. The second wave was led by Partholón, who had 10 daughters, including one called Macha. Partholón began to clear the land for agriculture. The third invasion was led by Navan, whose wife is called Macha. Navan is portrayed as an early Irish king who leads the third wave of people to settle Ireland. One of his acts is to clear parcels of land for agriculture, and after this Macha dies. This is almost the same story that is told about Tailtiu, the foster mother of Lu, who we honor at Lunasa. Fairs with games and racing were common at Lunasa, and a famous Lunasa fair was held at Abhainn Macha, an important fort in Ulster, which is named after Macha. Another Macha is Macha, the daughter of Ernmas of the Tuatha De Danann. This is the Macha who's said to be 1/3 of the triple goddess, the Morian or Morrigan, who's portrayed as a battle goddess, either inciting or foretelling battle. This Macha is killed in the Second Battle of Maitwira. The next Macha I want us to consider is Macha Mangrua, which means red-haired or red-maned Macha. This Macha is a pseudo-historical queen of Ireland, usually placed somewhere around the 5th century, but probably mythological. In this story, Macha is the daughter of a king called Éidirua, who takes a turn at kingship with 2 of his cousins in 7-year stints. By the time his 4th turn comes, Éid has died. The cousins refuse to allow Macha to replace him, so she goes to war against them, ultimately killing one and marrying the other. Macha then pursued the 6 sons of the cousin she had killed. Disguising herself as a leper, she enticed them to have sex with her, tied them up, and enslaved them. According to legend, she forced them to build Abhainn Macha, drawing the outline of the fort on the ground with her brooch pin. She continued to rule for many years after the death of her husband, ultimately being killed by an enemy of her father. This story has been used to explain the name of Abhainn Macha as meaning Macha's brooch. The final Macha I'll talk about is Macha, the wife of Cruinniuch. While the other Machas have an obvious relationship to sovereignty and the land, it's Macha, wife of Cruinniuch, who brings it all together with the horse association. In this myth, Macha arrives mysteriously at the house of Krunich, a widower and cattle lord, and takes on the role of wife and housekeeper without a word. She brings him prosperity and also becomes pregnant by him. One day, Krunich announces his intention to attend a fair. Macha warns him not to mention her while he's there, and he agrees. However, once he's at the fair, he brags that his wife can outrun the king's horses. Macha is brought to the fair to prove his statement or see her husband killed. But she's going into labor and asks that she be allowed to deliver before running the race. However, the king refuses, and when Macha appeals to the men standing by, they are silent. She runs the race and wins, giving birth to twins after crossing the finishing line. At this point, she angrily curses the men of Ulster that for 9 generations they will feel the debility and the pain of a woman in labor whenever they should be required in battle. This story is also used to explain the meaning of Awen Macha as meaning Macha's twins. I know that at first this is a lot to take in, but there are interesting connections here. 2 of these Machas are queens, and Morrigan, Morian, literally means great queen. Most of them also have associations with the land or with clearing land for agriculture. You may have noticed that some of these attributes are also shared by the goddess Rhiannon, who has many associations with horses. The name Rhiannon means divine queen, and Rhiannon's story also links her to the land, queenship, and bestowing sovereignty. Common themes like horse racing and difficulties associated with birth can be seen running through the stories of both goddesses. Now, am I suggesting that Rhiannon and Macha are the same goddess going by different names? No, certainly not. But I'm pointing out interesting parallels which suggest a similar function. I plan to do another video about Macha in the coming weeks. Watch for news about that on my Patreon page, which is where the videos appear first. You'll find the link below this video. Thanks for listening.